All right, so healthcare. What are you guys doing for healthcare down there?
Yeah, healthcare is, first of all, healthcare is really good. I can share some experiences. I've already had to utilize it a couple times. And there's really three tiers of healthcare here. First of all, as you know, or I think people know, there's universal healthcare. So all
Hmm.
residents and citizens receive universal healthcare. So as soon as you become a resident in process, which happened very quickly within a couple weeks after we got here because we submitted a lot of things in advance, you're eligible for the universal health care. That's
Hmm.
100% coverage, 100% free.
Hi, can Ernest and I ask you a favor? If you find our content helpful, please hit that subscribe and like button. It truly helps us grow and it makes Ernest happy. All right, so today we are heading down to the beautiful country of Uruguay with my new friend Steve Rush. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for doing it and thanks for taking time out of your day to be a part of the podcast. I truly appreciate it. Let's start off. You live in Uruguay. Uruguay is becoming a really interesting destination for a lot of people in the United States for so many reasons. It's a spectacular country. It's the most stable country. It's incredibly stable. Infrastructure is sound, and it's really got a open culture that's welcoming to everyone. People love Uruguay. So let's start off by you telling us a little bit about where you're from, Steve, and why you left the US for Uruguay.
Absolutely. And I think you just really nailed some of the top reasons that people move here, and we'll talk more about that. But I'm originally from a rural community in north central Illinois, kind of a farm boy, and lived there until I finished my undergrad and then moved into the big city of Chicago and lived there for several years. From there, I moved out to San Francisco, lived there for almost 20 years and then kind of did a full circle and came back actually to Wisconsin, to Madison, Wisconsin. So back to kind of the Midwest, but a wonderful city. Loved Madison. Was there 18 years. Uh,
Hmm.
and left for Uruguay from Madison. So it was my most
Okay.
recent home was Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay. Was there anything in particular that made you say it's time to leave the US? Anything
Yeah,
prompt that?
yeah. Yeah, I think it really is. It was kind of just a culmination of so many different things over several years, and my husband and I really started thinking maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where would we want to retire? And retiring abroad has always been of great interest to me, and seemed, from the rural farm boy I was, it seemed kind of an exotic, wonderful way to spend some years, right? Is to retire
Hmm.
somewhere abroad, something different than the U.S. And so we really started considering different countries. Like I said, 5, 6 years ago, traveled to Europe extensively, checked out many, many countries in Europe, Central America, the Caribbean, and then South America. And the reason we wanted to retire abroad was for a couple of reasons. One is just different lifestyle,
Yeah.
something more affordable. It was becoming apparent that even with average or above average means in the US, it was going to be difficult to retire. Uh,
Hmm.
and so wanted someplace that was more affordable. And so, yeah, we decided to start looking really in earnest about 2 or 3 years ago.
Hmm. Okay. What stood out about Uruguay? Now, you said I'm curious to know, like you explored Europe. You explored a lot of, it sounds like really awesome places.
Yeah, yeah.
So you must have had like narrowed it down to a top three, but then Uruguay became the go-to place. How did you come to that decision?
We had a list of things that, like the boxes we wanted to check.
Yes.
We need to check this box and this box and this box. And if there were 10 boxes, if we could get nine of those checked, it would be a winner, right? And so many of these places had 7 or 8 boxes checked and a
Yeah.
couple that didn't check. And so I kind of threw my hands up about it. Let's see, this is July or June. So about last June, July last year, I kind of threw my hands up and said, oh, nothing's checking all of the boxes. And then I thought, well, maybe nothing ever will.
Yeah. So, have you chosen your destination and are ready to take the next step toward living abroad? Now comes the hard part, navigating the immigration process. What documents do you need? Which ones require apostilles or certified translations? What are the residency requirements? What steps need to happen first? And how do you avoid costly mistakes that can delay your move? That's where we come in. At Adventure Freaks, we've partnered with trusted vetted immigration attorneys and residency experts in countries around the world to help make your transition abroad as smooth as possible. Simply visit adventurefreaksss.com, scroll down to where you see Your Move Abroad, and click on the Trusted Legal Advisor. You'll answer a few quick questions and schedule a free consultation to discuss your specific situation and goals. Check it out at adventurefreaksss.com. We're here to help you throughout your journey on moving abroad. Now let's get back to the video. Yes.
right? But I mean, moving abroad is a huge decision, and you don't want to go somewhere unless you're fairly certain it's going to be best for you and your family. So um, we did narrow it down to Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, and Uruguay.
Okay.
And went to Costa Rica again last year, and I'm just going to be honest with you, it was just too hot for me. Too
Yeah.
hot. It's so hot. I love Costa Rica. Beautiful country. I've been there
Yeah.
many times. Um, but I remember we were in Madison, Wisconsin, so I was jumping from the extreme Arctic cold winters
Yeah.
to extreme, tropical year-round heat. And also the infrastructure. It wasn't just the climate, but so these boxes that I've referred to, it's climate, stable government, stable, not just protective and open and progressive uh, policies and laws, but ones that are actually kind of what we call ironclad. They're actually in the Constitution, or they're in some type of a law, not just a court decision, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that stable economy, good health care, good
Mhm.
education, uh, good climate.
Yes.
Uruguay has a beautiful climate. I feel it's a beautiful climate. We are in our winter right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're in our coldest months right now. And I think today it's going to be 58.
Yeah.
Today it was 60.
Little
Um,
different from Wisconsin.
yeah, well, you chuckle, but some folks down here, most Uruguayans are walking around in their parkas right now and
Sure.
scarves,
Yeah.
because this is
Yeah.
really cold for somebody, born and raised here. But for me, this is a beautiful spring day in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
all of those things, and it really was important to be somewhere that kind of checked all those boxes. And so a year ago, I thought, wow, where would I do this? So I started doing more research, and then Uruguay popped up. And I'll
Hmm.
be honest with you, I had to grab a map to see where it was. I wasn't sure where
Sure.
Uruguay was. I thought it was in Central or South America.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to do, so we did. We really dove deep into the research and looked a lot into the country and realized it was this small, kind of isolated, best kept secret of a country in South
Yes.
America,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it ranks high on uh, uh, you know, uh, what's the global peace index?
Yeah.
It's
Safety,
safety,
stability,
happiness, stability.
but
Um,
happiness, welcoming. It's got it all. And you're not landlocked. You got the ocean. You got,
yeah, we're right on the coast. Our apartment overlooks the water. We're right on the water,
wow.
and I think one thing that I really love about this country, and I'd heard about it, but now I'm living it, is how egalitarian it is. It
Hmm.
really, folks here treat everybody equally,
Yeah.
and you're kind of reminded that nobody's better than anybody else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's a beautiful culture. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah.
Terrific. That's great information. All right. Well, thanks for that, Steve. Let's dive into the residency now. So, getting down there, moving in, you need to obtain residency.
You do.
What is the residency program that you pursued, and is there an income requirement?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it actually ties so beautifully into what we were just discussing, because one of those boxes that we needed to check was someplace that was relatively easy to obtain residency. Some of the countries we considered in Europe, especially, it's very difficult, and they have
Hmm.
high income requirements. They have many other requirements that are, it's a long, drawn out, almost impossible journey to obtain residency. So Uruguay has always been known as one that's relatively simple and easy. And so we came in, literally, we started working with a relocation firm here in Uruguay, and they had everything set up. We sent a lot of our paperwork in advance. I always recommend people get your paperwork done before you leave the US.
Hmm.
It's just hard to obtain all those documents if you're not actually there. And when we came down in December on one of our, we had done multiple trips before we moved down here. We already had our temporary residency pretty much lined up. So
Okay.
it's really just some real basic requirements, and an income requirement is one, but it's very, at least in the U.S. standards, very minimal. It's not anything official on the government website. In fact, I looked at that this morning.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to have funds sufficient to XYZ, right? But it's
Hmm.
about $600 per person per month.
Okay.
So for me, our family of three, we had to show around 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Uh, but really 1,500 would have done it because we have a minor, our son who was 16. So uh,
Okay.
very minimal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great info. All right. So overall, then you had to find a place to live.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you find an apartment down there? And all in, what do you think you budget actually per month with everything, with the rent, with the utilities, with, Wi-Fi, groceries? What do you think you're
Yeah.
budgeting per month?
Yeah, well, your first part of the question is how do you find an apartment and where do you want to live? And I mean, that's worth talking about a little bit because it's really different here. I mean, you can live in just a cool little beach town, kind of I call like a little hippie beach town, which are very charming and really cool and very appealing to me on so many levels. But also, you can live in some cities outside, like Piriápolis or Punta del Este, which is very expensive. It's
Yes. Yeah.
beautiful, but it's very expensive. Or all kinds of little cities throughout the interior. Most of the population, the vast majority of the population of the country lives on the coast. And within that, I think it's half of the entire population of the country lives in Montevideo, which is the capital
Okay.
city. And
Yeah.
that's where we chose to live for many reasons. Um, but you asked about the budget. We are living in an apartment currently,
Hmm.
right on the ocean,
Okay.
on the waterfront. And so it's for me, for US standards, was not that expensive, but it's 1,700 a month is the rent. But
Okay.
that would be considered quite high here
Sure.
in
Yeah.
Uruguay. Most rentals are between 600 to 800 a month in
Hmm.
Uruguay. Maybe pushing 1,000, but
How many
ours,
bedrooms do you have?
it's a 3 bedroom, two and a half
Okay.
bath. So
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
large.
wow. And you got
Yeah.
a view of the sea.
Yeah, we're right on the sea.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, man. That's incredible.
Um, so our monthly budget is probably around 4,500 to include
Okay.
rent, um, electricity, uh, internet, healthcare, food. Food is probably our biggest budget item,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
Uh, some people will say, and I think it's true in some ways, that food is expensive,
Yes.
grocery is expensive in Uruguay.
Okay.
Uh, but
Okay.
yeah,
Uh, Before I dive in, we're going to jump right into healthcare and how you do that
yeah,
down there.
yeah.
But before I go there, you mentioned that you've kind of moved around the country a little bit to explore. You chose Montevideo. Did you look at Colonia del Este?
Punta del Este
Or
or
no, no, there's a
Colonial del Sacramento.
Colonial del Sacramento. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we did not. I haven't been there yet. I'd like to go.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, like a little tourist attraction, really. I think
Hmm.
it's a UNESCO heritage site.
It is.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's literally the port city. If you want to take the ferry over to Buenos Aires, it takes about 45 minutes. Um,
Yes.
so I definitely want to check it out. But we wanted to have more services and to be able to walk everywhere. It was really important to us because we sold our vehicles. We had 4 vehicles in
Oh,
Wisconsin,
wow. Yeah.
and we sold them all. And
Yeah.
so we no vehicles. We like to be able to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you can do that living in Montevideo.
Hmm.
There's everything on every block.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Okay, great. Great info. All right. So, Steve, everybody's always concerned about healthcare.
But I will say, Ray, let me jump back real quick there.
Okay.
As far as the budget, so I said we renting an apartment, but we just actually are closing on a property. We just bought an apartment, and so that will bring our monthly expenses for either rent or mortgage to zero because
Yes.
we'll pay for that, and that's really affordable compared to U.S. prices. So we
Yeah.
got to, you can buy a really nice property for $150,000 down here, or
Yeah.
200,000. I know somebody who just bought a really nice one bedroom, one bath apartment for like 90,000. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's so are are you buy did you buy with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths as well? Did you
no,
buy that size?
this is a two bedroom, two bath.
Okay,
So
2 bedroom, two bath. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, that's awesome. And you paid 150?
we paid 200 for ours, but you can get, but again, it's a block off the beach. So
Okay.
location, right? It's location, location. It's
You
gonna,
get you guys need the water, man. You live in
yeah,
March.
I didn't move down here to live inland, and it's in a neighborhood called uh, Punta Carretas, which is right next door to Positos, which is where we are. And those are the two most expensive neighborhoods, but
Hmm.
um, you can easily find same footprint, same square footage, kind of the same type of building for
Yeah.
less than half of that price if you just want to move away from the beach.
Yeah, well, and what's fascinating is that what you just shared is that you can still find places that are that affordable in a really cool city where you can walk everywhere
Everywhere.
and you're right by the beach. And you don't need a vehicle for 200K. That's a deal with all of
Yeah,
those amenities. It's an incredible deal.
yeah,
And
yeah, it
because you
really
can't
is.
you can't find that in US cities, especially by the water. It's impossible.
You can't
So,
touch it. You can't
no.
touch it.
No. All right. So healthcare. What are you guys doing for healthcare down there?
Yeah, healthcare is, first of all, healthcare is really good. I can share some experiences. I've already had to utilize it a couple times. And there's really three tiers of healthcare here. First of all, as you know, or I think people know, there's universal healthcare. So all
Hmm.
residents and citizens receive universal healthcare. So as soon as you become a resident in process, which happened very quickly within a couple weeks after we got here because we submitted a lot of things in advance, you're eligible for the universal health care. That's
Hmm.
100% coverage, 100% free, free,
Okay.
free. What most and it's good coverage. What most people do, especially anybody who's immigrating or who is a expat, is that they will buy into what's called a mutualista. And so
Hmm.
that is kind of the easiest way for me to describe it is kind of akin to like a HMO, PPO, cooperative type thing that you'd have in the US. So we do that. It's about $120 per month for my
Hmm.
husband and I, and our son, who's a minor, it's about 70 a month for him. So
Okay.
about $120 a month. And what that does is it gives you different clinics, some different providers. It shortens the wait time considerably when you're making appointments. Um, but if I were to be hospitalized, I'll be in the same hospitals as everybody else who has universal health care, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's what most people do. But
Hmm.
that 120 a month, here's the really important thing, Ray, is I'm sure you know, healthcare in the US has just become obscene,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
obscene. The average American, I think, spends 30 to 40,000 a year in healthcare.
Yeah.
Uh, and people say, no, there's no way I could spend that amount of money. I said, well, first of all, add up what your premiums are,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then add up what your out-of-pocket expenses are, add up what your co-pays are, and add up what your annual deductible is.
Hmm.
And it easily can get up to 30 to 40,000 a year for a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this 120 a month covers pretty much everything. There's a small
Hmm.
copay for prescriptions.
Hmm.
I had to have an ultrasound last week, and I paid $12, I think,
Yeah. That's
for the
great.
ultrasound.
Wow.
CAT scans are like, my copay would be $15 or something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really minimal copays, and there's no deductible. If I were
Hmm.
to be hospitalized or need surgery, I'm not going to have to pay the first, in the US, our policy was we had to pay the first $8,000 out of pocket before anything would kick in, right?
Hmm.
I don't have to pay that. There's no surprise billing here.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so you and your husband pay 120 to cover both of you. Then for your son, you'd pay an additional 70.
Well, it's 120 each for us.
Okay, 120. So
Yeah,
two, okay. So
yeah, yeah,
so 240, then an additional 70 for your son.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're around 300, a little over,
Right.
per month for
Per
all
month.
three of you.
Right.
All right. Next question is, what surprised you the most about living there?
Yeah, uh, it's interesting because nothing has really surprised me, and maybe that's why that's what surprised me. It's not much has surprised me, and
Hmm.
I thought that I'd come down here and I'd have all these surprises. I'd have all this culture shock. Like, wow, no, no. Some pleasant surprises, like how laid back it is, but I knew
Yeah.
that. At least I'd read about that.
Hmm.
Um, I will say, um, kind of speaking on behalf of my husband and others who have experienced this, is if you speak Spanish, fantastic.
Hmm.
Okay. But there is a very specific Spanish in
Sure.
Uruguay.
Yes.
Uruguay and Buenos Aires and Rio Platense, uh, you know, the river Spanish. And so it's different accent, different syntax, different structure, different words, different
Yeah. Yeah.
slang. Um, my husband has been at times quite frustrated that he feels like he can't speak his own language. Because I've been speaking Spanish for 50 plus years, and I have to tell people, please slow down. I don't know what you're saying. So that's a surprise. People need to realize there'll be some adjustment. Now
Hmm.
I get to learn this Spanish. It'll be the only Spanish I know, so it won't be
Sure.
a surprise to me. But I haven't been terribly surprised by anything, which
Yeah.
is really
Which is the
wonderful.
surprise. Yeah, which is great. It's an
Yeah,
easy, that's one of the beautiful things about Uruguay. It's an easy, welcoming landing pad for many
it is.
people.
It is.
Okay. All right, great. And who, in your opinion, should not move to Uruguay?
That's a great
Who
question.
should not
Uh,
move there?
I know, right? Because everything we talked about makes it sound like it's this utopia. Everybody would be happy here, and
Right.
I
No.
think I wish everybody could be happy here, and I think you could be happy here, but are not going to be happy here if you're wound pretty tight.
Yeah.
And if you are into schedule, beyond time, you're going to get frustrated really fast. And there is a common phrase that's used all the time here, and it's called tranqui tranqui, which means tranquil, like
Yeah.
relaxed,
Yeah.
chill. Um, and it's not like somebody saying, "Hey, will you just chill?" They're saying it in a nice way. They're like, "Tranqui," it's like, yeah, I mean, chill. It's okay. It's okay when you go into a restaurant. This will bother people.
Yeah.
I find it charming and I love it. When you go into a restaurant, you go seat yourself at a table. You don't wait for a maitre d' or a hostess or host to seat you. You sit down and I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes might pass before they see you're sitting there and come up and greet you. And another 20, 30 minutes before they take your order, food comes out. But here's the thing and that frustrates people. They're like, where's our waiter? Da, 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 da.
Hmm.
But here's what I love. I just remember so many times in the US, when you sit down, the second your food comes, they turn around and hand the check and put it on your table and they
Hmm.
lay it there next to you, right? And they say,
Yeah.
no hurry, take your time.
Sure.
But she's trying to hurry you out, right? They want to for those
Right.
tables.
Sure.
Um, they come back every 5 minutes and see if you've put your credit card in there to pay the bill. It is not uncommon. We're
Hmm.
going to some friends tonight. Uh, Dinner is very late here. 9 p.m. is when people go to dinner.
Yeah. What a bad habit to get in.
I know, right? But we're actually going to be early. We're going to meet at 8:30. Um, it will be very likely that we'll sit there till midnight, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's dinner here. It's a big part of the culture. Sit for 3, 4 hours. You take your
Hmm.
time. Other
Sure.
people find that very frustrating. Waiting maybe and when you go to a store, you're going to be waiting a lot. You got to slow down.
Hmm.
I think people who have a hard time slowing down would not be happy here.
Yeah.
I really don't. I also think, which was one of the reasons we left, if you are a mass consumer, like
Hmm.
most U.S. citizens are into mass consumerism, we don't have the big box stores.
Hmm.
there is a thing called Mercado Libre, which is similar to Amazon. I don't use it, but there aren't as many choices for buying things here.
Hmm.
Yes, there's a couple
Hmm.
big, beautiful malls that would rival any mall in the US, but I think I read somewhere once 70% of Uruguayans still shop at the little corner markets and little
Hmm.
fruit stands. And you go here for your, go to the butcher and you go here for your wine and you go here to the bakery and you go here. Shopping can be like a 4 hour adventure. We go every week to
Hmm.
the feria, which is there's farmers markets every day of the week. But the one by us, we go on Saturday, and that can be a 3 or 4 hour just stroll. It's a big part
Yeah.
of the culture.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, great information. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, Steve. Is there anything else that you can think of about Uruguay that we can you could share with the viewers that are considering possibly moving there? Anything else come to mind?
I just I'm hesitant to say this but it is really kind of one of the best kept secrets. It isn't Uruguay is not loud, and they don't brag about like, hey, move to our country, right? There
Yeah.
isn't a big push to get people to move here. It's very welcoming, and you will be welcomed. They welcome everybody, and so I think it's the perfect place to to move, either to retire or just to move as a young adult. I mean, there's a lot of great things about it, but um, yeah, I just think it's a very kind of almost like a humble country. And again, the
Yeah.
egalitarian concept is to me very, very inspiring, actually.
Hmm. All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to
You
share
bet.
all of this wonderful information about your journey of arriving and living in Uruguay. I appreciate it.
You betcha. Well, there was my final Wisconsin phrase. You betcha.